Hey, what's up, traders? This is the watch list video for Tuesday, August 30th. Starting off with the daily of the SPY, as I always do. We had a gap down today, tried to mount a rally, but ended up closing about where we opened in really a pretty narrow range. Look at that kind of sideways action. For me, didn't create a lot of opportunities. My first trade, I've been telling you guys I want to stay away from trading in the first 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. Honestly, the first 30, because it's just been cleaner kind of letting the leaders emerge and then buying those buy zone pullbacks. I trade much better when I do that in this environment. And we're starting to see weakness in the market, which makes early trades to me even worse. So I started off my day with an early trade against what I teach, and started off quickly red and managed to stay red all day. So it was one of those days. Anyway, tomorrow's another day. I do want to give a hat tip. I posted SNTG. Relative strength, right, to the market somewhere early. And then Ramesh gave a great idea later in the day. So I'll try to give a hat tip, at least one in these videos. His idea was back through 4. It was during the period when we asked for, hey, what are you guys watching this afternoon? Ramesh said, hey, back through 4, second mouse, right, with the earlier high above. The 200-day was above that too, which can act as a magnet, and the thing just ripped. So that was a really neat post. So hat tip to Ramesh. Anyway, what are we watching for tomorrow? Oh, by the way, Wayne, you course takers, if you weren't in chat today, Wayne's doing an all-day, including pre-market GTMI session for course takers. So if you didn't realize that, make sure you get with him and get signed up, because he walks through the trades. Even when he's in a trade, he tells you what he's looking at, and it's really learning on the fly, super valuable. And he hates when I say it, but he's the best trader I know. So do not miss that GTMI session tomorrow. I will be running regular chat, which will be pretty thinned out because we've got a ton of course takers in the chat room. That'll be over in Wayne's Zoom room, right? But anyway, I will do my best to find stuff to trade tomorrow, right? So BBBY, this is one of the things where I screwed up today. I thought it was interesting back through the half here with the high of day just above. So it breaks the half, and then I ended up killing it, and then tried it through this. I called it through, I think, 1158 maybe, because it kind of had a cup and handle. No, that's not even right. I'll have to go to ones. This is it right here. I remember it now. So it put in this lower high after the 1150 break that got me, right? Then it put in this lower high of 1155. My idea was back through 1155, knowing the high of day was like a nickel above. What does it do? Breaks 1155. Bottom falls out. Well, I don't know about bottom falls out, but I wasn't willing to let this, if it didn't break the high of day, I'd get back out of those. So it took the loss there. But by the way, ended up taking a walk, right? And then it ended up going through the high of day. And look what happens. It comes all the way back down anyway. I wouldn't have made much there. And then later it ends up ripping. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Just the better setups are happening after the opening, 15, 20, 30 minutes. You could even argue the opening hour. But having said all that, I think it's worth having on a chart tomorrow. STBX was on bounce watch today. Unfortunately, and I talked about how it hit 6 in pre-market. Unfortunately, it ripped through 6 in the opening 5-minute candle. I talked about SOOTG, which SOOTG, which stands for straight out of the gate gap play. That would have been a great SOOTG through 6, but I would have never called it as such in a weak market, and I don't like early trades right now, and the daily on this is super ugly, right? Having said that, it would have, went through 6 and then went pretty quickly to 720. A lot of us were watching a break of 7 this afternoon, right? Because you had the lower high of 7, the earlier high of day above, but it never broke. So I'm going to just go ahead and throw it back on bounce watch tomorrow. But as you guys know, when I'm watching a bounce play, I would have preferred a gap down today, not a gap up. Takes a lot of the pizzazz out of the trade, out of the setup, I should say. CFVI, which is the SPAC that I guess is having the acquisition of, Rumble, which is a competitor for YouTube. And honestly, I'm not sure what ripped this today, but a big breakout today, closing nicely above the 200-day, which you can't see on here, but 200-day somewhere around 1124. We're going to go ahead and watch that one for the next several days. That was a pretty neat breakout there. DRUG, just kind of a quiet inside day, so we're going to watch that one tomorrow. SNTG talked about Ramesh's great second mouse through 4 call. Closed pretty strong, so we're going to watch that one tomorrow. Thin and a low flow. AHI, nice breakout today, but closing well off its highs. Going to land it on our watch list. RVPH, I don't think anyone can figure out. I think somebody saw on Twitter they were calling this a sympathy play to NERV. I don't know if that's true, but really big volume today, closing well off its highs, but it's going to be on a chart tomorrow. Anything uranium related was ripping today. I just randomly chose UUUU because it's a great symbol, right? And topped out right around 8. So if the uranium plays go again, we might get a setup in that one. PETZ, let me zoom in for this one for you. I actually put this on the gap playlist this morning as my sleeper pick. I never did trade it, but the daily chart's interesting. It finally broke through 4 a couple weeks ago and then right back down. But next thing you know, back up pretty quickly. So that one is kind of on my quiet radar, if you will. JZ, it's been trading for 2 days. I don't know what to make of this chart. That Friday it was up to $126, and today is at $8.37. Don't mistake what I'm saying as, hey, what a great bargain this is because it was $180 something and now it's $8. It should have never been $180 something, right? Having said that, it's only been trading for 2 days. Got 15-minute candles here. And it never broke its early high today. As you guys know, for a bounce play, I would like to see a narrow range and then an afternoon high of day break, and maybe you get a little bit of short covering. But back to the daily, it's a bizarre chart. I'm going to put it on a chart nonetheless. MOB goes back on bounce watch for tomorrow. Recent IPO. Now we got a couple red days. Volume's kind of dropping off. Today's range was fairly narrow compared to the first two. So that one goes on bounce watch. GCT was on bounce watch today. But another perfect example of it gapped down and just ripped. It might have given a red to green or something on 2s, which would have met my gap down bounce play parameters. I guess I could glance at it real quick. No, it really didn't. So it gapped down maybe on 1s, right? And then just ripped. So for me, really didn't give an entry. It's just one of those you say, well, went without me. Did give maybe a second mouse 2050 right here. But anyway, long story short, you notice we got it tapered down all afternoon. We never got the afternoon high of day break. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put it back on bounce watch. And then lastly, I'm going to throw NEPT on watch, which is a recent high flyer with a few days lower now, kind of back down into the moving averages. So that one goes on bounce watch. I babbled long enough. Be careful tomorrow. Enjoy that GTMI session, you course takers, and I'll be running the chat room. But for now, I'm done babbling.